Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds.
Hey everybody, this is Evan and John, and you're listening to the Boomer and X Show. Hey, what's up, everybody? That song is Slow Ride by Foghat.
Yeah, Slow Ride by Foghat.
And now, if you're wondering why we are playing that at the beginning of the show, other than it being a cool song to open up with, John, hit us with some facts.
It has been brought to our attention, and we're going to call them facts, but it seems almost too good to be true. But we've checked it out a couple of different sources, and as best as we can tell, that song was inspired by detour that Foghat took on their way to New Orleans through Lafayette, coming right down Verrott School Road, which is where the Boomer Next Studio is located.
How cool is that?
1975.
So the road, if no one knows that hasn't ever driven down it, it's a two-way,
it's two-lane.
Two-lane. And it sucks. I mean, it holds water where the tire treads are. It's
narrow. It's winding.
No matter what time you go down it, it's backed up.
Yep.
So in the interview, who was it doing the interview?
It says that the group's lead singer David Peverett, who died in 2000, was the one that came up with it. Ever since then, the drummer Roger Earl has explained that the song had a literal interpretation about a slow ride down a street, and it happens to be our street. So when I heard that, I thought, well, we've got to talk about that. We've got to use it on the show a little bit. So there it is, inspired by Verrott School Road, Lafayette, Louisiana.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
41 years ago.
So today is January 12th, 2016. We're going to be hitting you with the sports short. Our topics for today are the just-ended college football championship, go Bama, wild card weekend wrap-up,
and emphasis on wild.
Yeah, it was. Super Bowls, 21 through 30. We're still rolling with those Super Bowl facts. Yep. Popular sport TV ratings.
Yep. And
then we're going to do the upcoming NFL divisional round. And we have, a plethora of mad dashers there.
Yep.
So, let's get right into it.
Let's talk about the game that just ended where the University of Alabama won their fourth national championship under Nick Saban in the past, 7 years?
Since 2009, I think.
Since 2009, yeah. In the past, okay. Fourth under Nick Saban since 2009.
Man, I tell you, those guys were every one of them playing their heart out. It was an amazing game.
It was an amazing game, and it was really an amazing game until Bama comes out and does the onside kick, and that was amazing for Bama fans. That event was amazing for Bama fans, but the game was won right there.
I agree.
It was decided right there. Up until then, you really thought either team had a chance.
It was close. Now, just a quick wrap up. So I'm not going to give every scoring play, but right out the bat, Derrick Henry runs for 50 yards. That's quickly answered by 2 Clemson touchdowns. Second quarter is pretty quiet with only 1 touchdown from Alabama, so they tied it up. And then third quarter, they're back and forth, and I believe tied up again in the fourth. Okay, 24-24. This is where it gets crazy. They end 40-45, just showing how much back and forth there goes with onside kick, some crazy drops. It was everything you want a college football championship.
Well, it was everything
to
you want. It was everything you want a championship football game to be. It certainly was. Even though the 5-point differential at the end is a little misleading because it would have taken a miracle of miracles for Clemson to come out and win. Although we saw 2 miracles this weekend in the NFL, so certainly anything can happen. But I mean, look, it was a good game. I think we both thought Alabama would win. I think most everybody thought Alabama would win, and we also said that we didn't think that if Clemson got behind, they would roll over and play dead the way Michigan State did, and indeed they did not.
It was, I mean, I got off work and it was in the second quarter, and I watched the rest of the game, and I was keeping up with it on my phone the whole time, and man, just
and I joined you into the third quarter, and then we watched the rest of it.
Did we never made picks on this game? Did we?
Yeah, we both said Bama.
Did we?
Yeah.
Okay. But the whole time you were rooting for Clemson.
Well, yes, I picked Bama, but I was rooting for Clemson. I'm not a Bama fan.
Well,
but
me neither. But I mean, heck, I picked Oklahoma to beat Bama, straight up. So,
but now let's talk about the SEC just for a minute. The SEC now 9-2 in postseason games. We'll say bowls and playoff games. The SEC West, I guess, ended up 7-2, 6-2, 6-2.
I don't know.
No,
do you have
7-1? 7-1. The SEC West ended up 7-1.
8-1.
7-1. There's 7 teams, but one team played 2 games. So 7-1 for the SEC West. And now the SEC is back on top of the football world after a couple of years of not having the championship. And then last year's in the bowl season, the SEC didn't represent all that well.
No, and this year everyone was all Ohio State.
It was all about Ohio State at the beginning of the season.
And what they're in the Big Ten. Big Ten.
Yeah.
Now, for whatever reason, I've been hearing a lot of talk about ACC. They're the new SEC, because of all the scoring and everything. But
I don't. The ACC, except for Clemson and Florida State, is really pretty weak. Although North Carolina played well this year, they had a good year. For me personally, I'd say the Pac-12 is the second best conference in the country. And again, living in the South, being something of an SEC fan, I'll say this: I think it's more interesting when the wealth is spread around a little bit more. I don't think it was a problem. I didn't have a problem at all with other teams, other conferences winning the last 2 championships.
Me neither.
I would have preferred Clemson to win tonight just because I'm kind of tired of Bama. But anyway, they won it. Congratulations to them.
It was an amazing game.
It was a very good game. Yes, it was. So, congratulations to Bama. Congratulations to Nick Saban winning 4 at Bama, 1 at LSU. The man now has 5 national championships.
That's what I was going to get at. Can he be? I don't know. Even if they lost, he could probably be called the best college coach.
He's the best of this generation. He's not only the best now; he's the best of this generation.
That's true.
I mean, you've got to give it to him. He's taken 2 programs there. Now, he was a complete flop at the NFL level.
Oh yeah.
2 years at Miami that went nowhere. But you have to say he is the best college football coach of this generation. You got to go back to Bear Bryant before you can even start talking about someone that can pair.
And that was a whole other generation.
Well, that's back in the 60s and 70s, and I think he retired in the early to mid 80s. But so Bama sits atop of the SEC of the college football world, and the SEC has regained supremacy, especially the SEC West.
Yeah, and that's something we down here definitely like to see.
Again, I was fine with it being spread around a little bit, but I'm the exception and not the rule. Wild Card Weekend recap. Evan went 3-1 in his picks. I went 1-3.
Yeah, it started off looking bad because the Chiefs, I said Houston's would win and they didn't even score.
It was 30-0. It was amazing to me. I thought, and when I was watching it, and I got over to your place early in the third quarter, and we watched it the rest of the way together. And I said about late in the third quarter, I said, what if Kansas City had all the points they needed before the first play from scrimmage, and indeed they did. I thought of the 8 teams playing this past weekend, I thought Houston was the least deserving. The fact that Kansas City blew them out didn't surprise me, and again I'll restate that I think Kansas City deserves to be talked about. Hey, they may be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. You know, I'm sure a lot more people are talking about that now than just you. But
And
I didn't realize he went on a 11 game.
and now
tear.
11 game. Yeah,
That is, and that started with killing Pittsburgh, like how they did.
They beat Pittsburgh to start their stretch. But remember, back around week 3 or 4, they lost their number one offensive weapon, Jamal Charles. And yet,
everyone
they've
them
still done what they did, and they were 1-5 at one point. So Kansas City is on a roll. I think they're dangerous, and we'll talk about the upcoming matchups a little bit later in the show.
Steelers Bengals.
Wow,
they almost okay. This Bengals scored all 16 of their points in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
Now you mentioned miracles. What was one of them in this game?
Yeah, one of them was definitely in this game.
That Antonio Brown walked off the field?
Well, that was one of them. That his head did not leave his body on that god-awful hit
which
by
they did.
Burfict.
They did throw the hammer 3 games next
we
year.
found out tonight that Burfict has been suspended for the first 3 games of next year. Now, I know he'll appeal, but that's the ruling as of right now. He's suspended next.
If anything, they're going to give him more time.
God, that was a horrible. I mean, oh my God, that was a horrible hit. But you know, here's what's being talked about instead of Pittsburgh winning. It's the Cincinnati meltdown and the fact that they've now lost in 6 consecutive years. They have gone 0-6 in the playoffs, and their meltdown. And I'll say this as a Steelers fan, as a diehard, passionate Steelers fan, I have to say Cincinnati lost that game more than Pittsburgh won it.
How so? They were behind the whole game.
They were, but they came back.
They never had the lead though. I mean,
they had the lead the last couple of minutes
that's
until
true.
the last few
true.
seconds, and the Pittsburgh defense showed, especially the pass defense, that it can be had.
Steel curtain.
Well, no. Although against the run, they were very good. They were very good against the run.
Which that really wasn't their worry. Their worry was their secondary.
Well, and sure enough, they got exposed yet again. But they got bailed out by bonehead plays by Cincinnati players, Burfict and also Pac-Man Jones. Jumping ahead to the Minnesota-Seattle 0 degree, minus
-6,
minus 6 at kickoff, and it warmed up to 0.
So Seahawks won 10-9.
10-9, and Blair Walsh missed a 27-yard field goal.
Yep. And I chalked that up to nerves. We talked about it earlier. It's
you asked me if you thought temperature or nerves. I said, well, he hit 3 earlier in the day, so I'm nerves.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it nerves too.
And again, laces were facing him.
Only person I ever saw that bother was the guy on Ace Ventura.
And now both of those games came down to a play and really kind of a miracle. They could have gone either way, but Green Bay obviously had another gear that they hadn't hit in 2.5 months.
35-18 on the road.
On the road, and after being down 11-0.
Yep.
So that was the one game I didn't see. I was busy. I actually went out to watch some floodgates be open along the Mississippi River, and I missed that game.
Well, I picked them because obviously I knew they were going to get 35-18 at the Redskins. So I saw that.
I wish I had
day.
seen it. I wish I had seen that game. But definitely the wild card was Pittsburgh and Cincinnati's eliminated yet again.
Well, you'll get to see them Saturday.
I will get to
at Arizona. That's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, it will be.
Okay.
Super Bowl history.
Yeah, Super Bowl history.
21 through 30.
Let me ask you this: Who is the home team in the Super Bowl? How do they figure that out?
I'm going to say it's the team with the best record.
Nope. The designated home team alternates between the NFC in the odd number games and the AFC in the even number games. The designated away teams have won 29 of 49 Super Bowls to date with a 59.2% victory.
Designated away. Okay. All right. I didn't know that it was a back and forth thing. I did not know that. Super Bowls 21 through 30. It's in this stretch that the Buffalo Bills go 4 times in a row and lose 4 times in a row. But one of the most landmark games and landmark performances actually was in Super Bowl 22, where the Washington Redskins beat the Denver Broncos 42-10, and Denver, by the way, was favored in that game. The Broncos jump out to a 10-0 lead, but then a quarterback out of Grambling State University, a small black college in rural North Louisiana named Doug Williams.
Do
Throws
you know him?
for, I don't know him personally, no. But and much to my delight, I remember watching this game. I remember vividly, he threw for 4 touchdowns in the second quarter alone.
Who's that? The Super Bowl 22?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he played for the Redskins.
He played for the Redskins. He was 0-2 as a starter in that season. He was not their quarterback throughout the year. He was 0-2 as a starter.
Did they have an injury and he had to play?
I don't remember exactly how he came to be the starting quarterback, but he was the first African-American quarterback to start a Super Bowl.
Really?
And he actually got hurt early in the game and was out just a little bit, but comes back and engineers the most dominating quarter in Super Bowl history still.
Man, look at this. You got the Denver Broncos going 3 times and losing, and then the Buffalo Bills going 4 straight years and losing.
So there was a lot of NFC dominance in that period.
No kidding.
And then not only that, but after that, you've got San Francisco 49ers beating the Chargers.
Yep.
And then on my birthday in 1996, thank you very much, NFL, the Dallas Cowboys beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in Super Bowl number 30.
You were born in 96?
No, that was on my birthday. But in 28, January 28th.
Gotcha.
I remember we had people over. We had birthday cake. We had a big Super Bowl party.
And they lost.
Not only did they lose to the Dallas Cowboys. That was really the
knife in the heart.
Yeah,
there.
yeah, that was horrible. Neil O'Donnell was the Pittsburgh quarterback at the time, and he threw 2 interceptions, I believe, to a defender for Dallas named Larry Brown, I think was his name, made him the MVP. And that was all we ever heard from that player. I mean, he was made the MVP by terrible throws by Neil O'Donnell, but that was not a happy day for yours truly.
Well, I'll say from 20 to 31, that's what we're doing, right?
Yep.
21 through
21 through 30.
That is definitely the closest game, and probably, I would assume, the best.
It was a good game, and Pittsburgh had just scored a touchdown, and they were
probably down by 3.
They were down by 3, and then there was and I'm pretty sure that was returned back for a touchdown. Again, that was 20 years ago. I don't remember whether the interception was returned for a touchdown or not, but Pittsburgh had gotten within 3. They were driving. Neil O'Donnell throws his second pick of the day, and the rest is history. But it was obviously a 10-game span from 21 through 30 that was dominated by in fact, look at this. Giants, Skins, Niners, Giants, Skins, Cowboys, Niners, Cowboys.
All of them.
Yep. All 10 of those games won by the NFC.
And then Green Bay Packers also in 31.
Yep.
Which we're not talking about today.
Yeah, we'll hit that. We'll hit that a little bit later. Yeah. So NFC dominance, and until I was looking down this, I knew about Buffalo losing 4 in a row, but until I was looking down this list right now, I didn't realize that 10. All 10 of those 21 through 30 were won by NFC.
7 of those were only two different teams. 7 of those losses were the Bills and the Broncos.
And the Broncos.
That's insane.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you got the Patriots and the Cincinnati Bengals as the only other ones that are in there.
Absolutely. Evan, I've got a question.
Okay.
And I told you not to research because I wanted you to answer blindly. And I want to what I stumbled across was a listing of the top 26 viewed sporting events in the United States for the calendar year 2015.
Okay. I'm going to say...
And now I'm going to ask you how many of them belong to NFL, college football, NBA, college basketball, Major League Baseball, tennis, golf, hockey.
Every sports event.
Just kind of give me a general number of where you think the top
so
26 fall.
Number 1 will be curling. I want to say like the Manny Pacquiao Floyd Mayweather fight might be number 1, but that probably comes second to the Super Bowl because you want to count Super Bowl last year, right?
Calendar year of 2015, yeah.
Okay, so definitely Super Bowl's number 1. I would say number 2 would probably be the boxing match, and then I don't know the rest the next 10 are probably football things.
Okay.
Other than that, maybe baseball.
Okay.
World Series and.
All right. Are you?
How did I do?
Not too well, but look, as big a football fan as I am, I would not have thought this. 21 out of the top 26 events were NFL
games.
21 of the top 26.
What number one's got to be the Super Bowl?
Super Bowl.
Okay.
Super Bowl is 114 million.
Yeah.
3 of the remaining 5 were college football games. The 2,
So football was all the top 26 things.
it was 24.
Well, the last 2.
Well, I'll tell you. But the 3 college ones were the 2 semifinals, which last year they played on New Year's Day.
yeah, New Year's Eve wasn't it?
New Year's Eve was bad this year,
Yeah.
and I don't think they'll make that mistake again.
No.
But 2 of them were semifinals, and then the third one was the national championship game between Ohio State and Oregon. Is that who was in it? So that leaves 2 events:
World Series?
college basketball national championship game
Oh, okay, yeah.
was number 17 on the list.
NBA Finals?
Women's World Cup.
Yeah, that was a big one.
That was a big one. And, and that was number 26. That was the last one on the list. So here's what the list
I should have known that.
Here's what the list is completely void of: NBA,
Baseball.
Major League Baseball,
Hockey.
hockey. Well, yeah, hockey,
Come on.
boxing, tennis, golf, NASCAR.
Wow, you would think.
Nothing.
Okay, baseball is as American as apple pie.
Baseball lost.
How
out.
was it not on the
Remember in the last show we made the point that baseball started losing out to football during the 70s and 80s. We were talking about Super Bowls.
Something I guess that makes sense of that is something I did research because I anticipated football being in there heavy is league parity. Something why we like it so much. Am I saying the right
Yep,
word?
yep.
P-A-R-T.
Yep.
Yeah. So no team has been bought like the L.A. Lakers when they got Shaq and Kobe, and they just went on a tear. You know, you can't do that in the NFL. It's very balanced, meaning no NFL team has all the money. You know, it creates healthy competition, I believe.
Also, look, fantasy football plays a big role in this too.
Yes.
It does.
There's fantasy basketball, there's fantasy baseball.
I know, but
here's another one, gambling. It's easy to gamble on football.
well, fantasy is a form of gambling. I mean, but yeah, I mean, sure, all of that plays into. But I'm a huge football fan. It's really what I watch, and yet even I was stunned at the total domination.
It was that much.
Yeah.
Here's another one, fantasy leagues. That's one of the things they say. It keeps fans interested and also broadens their, you're not just rooting on your Saints. You want.
Since you got me involved in fantasy 3 seasons
you find
ago,
yourself like, they're not in it, so I don't care. I just want this running back to score a million points.
I do. I watch games that I wouldn't have watched
Yes.
before I got into fantasy.
And then there's the excitement. You get your big hits, you get your big insane catches, which you get all that in other sports, but not like you do in football.
Now, before we, as you and I do this show, and I kind of pay a little bit more of attention to Sports Talk TV and Sports Talk Radio, but for comparison, and I've told you that I hear what I consider to be nonsense. Before we leave this topic, I want to ask you a question. Do you feel like, because of the injuries and the concussions and concussion protocol and flags and all of this, that and maybe some parents pulling kids out of football at an early age because they're becoming more concerned, do you feel like 10, 20, 25 years down the road, football may start to lose out in the United States to other sports in popularity?
No.
Okay. I don't either. Because I heard somebody on television within the past couple of days say that that parents were going to push their kids towards soccer, and soccer was going to become the
somebody recently said that?
Yes, within the past couple of days. I want to tell you the first time I heard how popular soccer was going to be in the U.S. The first time I heard it, you weren't even born yet. So I don't think that person knows what the hell he's talking about.
What I think will happen with the game is the technology will get better as we see it happening. Definitely things like the concussion protocol and just the hits are going to stay big. It's a contact sport.
Yeah,
but I think the technology will get way.
I hope
way
so, because
better.
As much as I love the sport and I enjoy
you
the
don't
hits,
like guys ruining their lives.
I don't, man.
Yeah.
I tell you what, and that hit on Antonio Brown the other night scared me.
It was scary.
It scared me.
But that's football, man.
It is. But you know what? I'm glad the flag was thrown, and I'm glad the guy.
I can't believe he got to stay on the field. But anyways, and what in the world was Pac-Man doing? That's not his job to go over there.
It's his job to be Pac-Man, which is, and I talk about character of players, and I think it showed. It cost Cincinnati that game, having players
bad
of
character.
Yes.
I think I agree with you there.
Yep.
And you're one to when you see someone of bad character, just to like they they're terrible. I don't even care about them.
Get them out.
But
get them
it
out.
definitely mattered.
It did
in this instance.
Remember going back real quick to fantasy when we were drafting our fantasy team and we drafted Joseph Randle to Dallas, and I told you at the time,
and that was your move.
I'm nervous about this because the idiot was shoplifting last year, and look what happened.
Yeah,
look what happened. He lost his starting job. He totally flaked out, and by midseason he was nowhere to be found. He was not even on the team anymore.
Yeah.
And that takes some doing to get kicked off the Dallas Cowboys. So
that sure does.
I think character matters, and I think it matters on the football field.
Moving on, we got NFL divisional round. Woohoo!
Coming up this Saturday and
Saturday.
Sunday.
First game's at 3:35 p.m. Set your TiVos because it's going to be a good one.
Kansas City and New
Chiefs
England
are going to the Patriots.
Yeah, I'm going to say Chiefs. I think so. Now I don't know if how healthy the Patriots were able to get in the ensuing bye week that they had and coming up, but
I don't know.
Man, Kansas City is on a roll. They are on a roll. They have got a wicked defense.
Man, I don't know. New England is not a playoff losing team. They're at home. I'm going New England here. What do you have the line on this one?
I do not. I don't have any betting lines in front of
me. I
me.
bet it's going to be close. I bet it's going to be
the line or the game.
Both.
Okay.
Isn't it the same thing?
Well, the line is an opinion. The game is what actually happens.
Okay, both.
Okay, I'm just gonna say Kansas City. I was trying to crawl on their bandwagon a little bit on last week's show, and I'm gonna go ahead and.
Well, 30-0 last week. I'm gonna guess that's gonna affect the line. Because Houston has a great defense, and
they have a great defensive player.
No, they have a great defense.
They have a great defensive player.
Well, it doesn't matter because they didn't score anything last week.
Why I really and I told you off the air. I said if I would have bet one game this past weekend, it would have been Kansas City. I wouldn't have bet the others. I would have bet Kansas City. Houston had no quarterback, and obviously,
that's true.
And obviously, New England does. They have who, in my opinion, now is the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. But he's not healthy. His team isn't healthy, and the fact that they lost a game in Miami week before last that they needed to win to maintain home field really tells me they've got problems.
I just think Kansas City, they're on, was this 3 in a row road games? Or 2 in a row?
I don't know.
I don't know. You're going into Foxborough. I'm not. I got New England on this one. Go on to
Saturday night,
Green
Green Bay and Arizona.
Yes, prime time.
Arizona, the last game of the season got waylaid by Seattle, but they had no reason to go out and win that game. I'm not going to let that affect me, and I'm going to say Arizona beats Green Bay.
Me too.
All right.
That one's pretty cut and dry. I'm guessing. This team we saw Green Bay beat
Washington. They were questionable,
but
still, Green Bay had lost 6 of their last 10 games. I didn't think they had that gear. They found it.
It's the playoffs, man.
Aaron Rodgers found it. But now you've got Aaron Rodgers versus Carson Palmer. You've got an excellent Arizona defense, and they're at home. If Arizona routes this, it wouldn't surprise me. But I underestimated Green Bay last week. Seattle at Carolina, I have a sure bet for you. Seattle at Carolina, sure bet. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes.
Seattle will find a warmer environment in Carolina than they had in Minnesota last week.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you there. All right, so this is the Sunday, the noon game at Sunday.
Yep.
As far as I'm concerned, that's the game of the weekend there.
Seattle at Carolina?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I have a different opinion on game of the week.
Well, because your Pittsburgh Steelers are playing Denver. Yeah, that'll be a good game too, Pittsburgh Denver.
But you've got 8 teams left, and show. They're good. The reason they're still playing is because they're good.
Who?
All of them.
Well,
yeah. So look, any matchup is good. Any matchup is good.
This is my favorite out of the 4. Seahawks. What was the spread on that one? 10-9, right?
Well, that was the
Ice Bowl.
The spread was like 6.5, but the score was 10-9.
Okay, yeah, I get those.
Yeah,
they're not interchangeable like they are.
No, they're not. They're not.
So it was 1 point they beat, and they lost that game.
Blair Walsh 27-yard field goal.
Yeah, they lost it because who doesn't hit that? So
true.
The scoreboard says a different thing, but Seahawks lost that game.
Now, weather was a big factor, and again, I don't know if it's going to be raining in Carolina or not, but it certainly won't be -6. But
yeah, the punter holding the ball on that one. Was that the guy who had his the broken nose?
I don't know.
And his eyelashes froze shut?
I don't know.
Because that might be why. Anyways, that's in the past. It happened. But Seahawks, I say, are going to lose to the Panthers.
I'm going to go ahead and go with the Panthers at home. They've been rock solid. But I'm about to tell you what, it wouldn't shock me if Seattle won.
It wouldn't either because
whereas it's going to shock me if Green Bay beats Arizona. It will not shock me if Seattle beats Carolina.
Russell Wilson is just he's connecting with everybody.
Yeah,
and he's got his weapons and he's got his defense. But I'm still saying Carolina.
I am too. Pittsburgh at Denver. The last game of the weekend.
Also,
Pittsburgh at Denver.
Yep.
The last game of the weekend.
They're in the Mile High Stadium.
Now, remember, the third to the last weekend of the season in Pittsburgh beat Denver. So they've been head-to-head once already, and Pittsburgh beat them.
They have. How's you heard anything about Big Ben's arm?
I think that they're both expected to play.
I know he said every throw,
the
last, 10 minutes, his arm popped out of socket.
Yeah.
He was out there playing with it. Every time he threw, his shoulder popped out of socket. That's insane. Now, he didn't have the zip on it he had last week, of course, and he's going to need that this week, which is why.
One thing that really surprised me that I saw out of Pittsburgh in that game Saturday evening, they ran the ball very well. They had two running backs, and neither one of them had seen many more. They had many more carries than I had this year, and yet they ran the ball effectively against Cincinnati. Denver also has a really good defense, an even better defense. I'll be pulling like crazy for the Steelers, but I just think I can't see how Ben is going to be totally healthy.
You can't say that my heart says this, but my mind says that.
Well, I'm picking Denver. I'm picking Denver to win the game because I
pick Denver.
Because we can agree.
Well, I don't want to. I picked Pittsburgh.
Okay. I hope you're right. But I can't see how Ben is going to be 100% healthy. I can't see how Antonio can see straight.
Oh, I know.
But
I can't believe he got up.
But it took a while.
It
took, which is when that whole second penalty came about while he was still laying out there on the ground. All right, so you're picking Pittsburgh.
Only because you're picking Denver, but
right.
Denver's going to win.
I'm picking Denver.
I'm picking Denver.
Pulling for Pittsburgh. Pulling for the Steelers. I'm pulling for them to get number 7.
Okay, so I'm picking Pittsburgh, but pulling for Denver. You're picking Denver, but pulling for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'm hoping you're right. You're hoping I'm right. All right, Mad Dash time.
Mad Dash.
Last week, right after we recorded our show, and so we didn't get to mention it, Lovie Smith got fired by Tampa Bay. They had gone 2-14 the previous year, 6-10 this year, and had very good production from a rookie quarterback.
That was the day after we released.
Right.
Let me give you how that went down. Ring, ring, ring. Hello? Yeah, you're fired. Click. Why did they do that?
I don't know. Speculation is they've got this hot offensive coordinator that other teams were sniffing around.
Miami.
They didn't want to lose him, so they gave him the head job. To me, that's valuing 2 birds in the bush over the one that you have in the hand. Lovie Smith has taken a team to the Super Bowl before. He obviously had good rapport with his quarterback. I think they were headed in the right direction. I think this was a big mistake by Tampa, and hopefully Lovie will land on his feet with a head coaching job before the 2016 season starts.
I just read this. Mike Tannenbaum, who's leading the job search for Miami, he used to be that Dirk Coaters, the offensive coordinator, used to be his agent. I thought it was interesting. Maybe they were. Maybe they knew that they were firing Lovie Smith. They made a move on him.
I think Tampa screwed up. What about you?
I agree. Why fire Lovie Smith? You give him 2 years and they're not bad.
And they improved 4 games. Now one thing, they lost their last 5, and that's kind of weak. But still, I just don't think you pull the plug on that deal 2 years in when they showed that much improvement, and you've got a rookie quarterback that, for my money, overachieved. He certainly achieved more than I thought he was going to.
What is the Rooney Rule? Have you heard much about that?
Yeah, the Rooney Rule is something that was put in the NFL, and it was brought about by the Rooney family, owners of the Pittsburgh Steelers, who said you have to interview
a black coach,
an African-American candidate for your head coaching position. Yes.
You can't just turn them all away. Now
You have to interview.
So,
Now, there's no, you know.
So that rule is the reason why they can't give Coder the job right now. Kotner?
I don't.
Kotner?
It's the OC. I'm not really concerned about his name. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Well, sure. I mean, you have to interview. It doesn't mean you have to take it seriously.
Yeah, that's true.
You just have to, interview. So, does it do any good? I don't know. It's kind of like an affirmative action.
So wouldn't it be funny if? It is kind of like affirmative. Wouldn't it be funny if Lovie Smith ended up in Miami?
It would be,
because
I hope he.
I think he'd be good there.
I've already said that I don't think Chip Kelly is going to have a head coaching job this next year, and I told you why. I think Lovie Smith will, and I think he deserves to.
Yeah, I agree on both fronts. So this next one is someone who you wrote up there the second you saw she was on the SI.
She's going to be in the SI swimsuit edition, wearing nothing but body paint. Ronda Rousey,
which I'm guessing is a first. Technically,
she was in it last year, but the body paint thing is a first for her.
I mean, because technically she's fully naked. Is that a first for?
Well, sure.
Because last year was that chick with like the nothing on, pretty much.
It's been that way for 30 years.
Yeah,
with the SI swimsuit issue. Yeah. So are you going to buy this year's?
I've never bought them.
I'll buy this year's.
I'm not a big magazine buyer.
I'll buy this one.
You're a Ronda Rousey fan, I'm guessing?
I will be in that issue of SI along with everybody else.
With body paint on.
Yes.
Have you seen any of the pictures? I have. Or they? Oh, you have?
I have.
So what is she wearing?
It's like it's painted like an animal, like does it some sort of black and white animal? It's an animal.
So is it really revealing or?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's the SI swimsuit issue, and I hadn't bought one since I was probably 25 years old. I'll buy this one. Why not? Sure.
25 at heart.
Yep. I agree with that. Donald Trump chimed in the past couple of days and said the NFL has gone soft just like America. Any comments?
Did you watch Antonio Brown scrape himself off of the floor?
You know what? I saw guys.
Did you see what's the Big Ben playing with a popping out shoulder?
And you know what? I see that every Sunday.
Did you exactly?
Every
Did you watch? This is all stuff that happened this Sunday.
Right.
Did you watch that punter break his nose and get worked on for 20
punter.
minutes? A punter,
and
then go out there with frozen eyelashes and kick the ball.
And I saw guys playing in their short sleeves in 0-degree weather, and I saw guys playing in downpours. Here's what I have to say to Mr. Trump: go to any player on any team. Pick the weakest player, or the weakest team, the punter or the place kicker.
No, the St. Louis Rams punter.
Okay, fine. And in a ring, the two of you, mano a mano, man to man, 1-on-1.
I think Trump could beat the St. Louis Rams punter.
No, of course Trump is old, but
he's 70, dude. I didn't know that.
But just shut up. Just shut up.
He cannot do that.
Just shut up.
Here's my only thoughts on that.
There's nothing soft out there. There's not a wimp on that field, on any of them.
My only thoughts on that is, I guess he wants his voting public to all have concussions, so they'll vote for him.
Maybe, yes. Evan, we have, again, and it's
$1 billion.
It's January 12th, 2016, and upcoming is, and this is not sports related, obviously, with the exception of the fact that I may buy a franchise if I win this lottery. First of all,
which one would you buy? The Dallas Cowboys?
Oh, hell no!
Why not, man?
Because you know what? Because I can't mess them up any more than Jerry Jones is already doing.
If anyone, I would say the Dallas Cowboys.
No, because Jerry Jones is messing them up just fine.
And just fire everybody and be like, "Ha ha, go Pittsburgh!"
No, Jerry. So, are you going to buy a ticket or a few tickets? Or are you going to get in a lottery pool or anything?
Nah.
Nope. I'm going to buy a few tickets. Buy a few tickets.
Remember who your friends are, I guess.
Believe me, you are on the short list of somebody that I will stay in touch with.
If anything, put the money back into the podcast so we can go global and go universal.
And you know what? It is a short list. It is a short list. But some advice from a billionaire.
Who's that?
Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban says, hire a tax attorney first. And I always say this: don't take the lump sum. You don't want to spend it all in the first year. Give yourself a year to make some bad mistakes because you're going to. That's me talking. That's not him.
Oh, okay.
If you weren't happy yesterday.
Well, like what? What kind of mistakes?
Well, I haven't been a billionaire, so I haven't made them. But let me just say this. Almost everybody that gets rich instantly and takes it all up front ends up in a bad way just a few years down the road.
Yeah,
a lot of them
I can
do.
see that.
So I don't know what the mistakes are, but we would all be prone to make them.
A tax attorney, would they do like money? What is a person who like holds your money and says you can and can't spend it on certain things?
Well, a tax attorney is you're going to need the advice, and you're going to certainly be able to afford it. So just find a good one. I don't know what all they do, but just find a good one. If you weren't happy, and going back to Mark Cuban,
he gets a little philosophical.
Sure, he does.
Here, yeah.
If you weren't happy yesterday, you won't be happy tomorrow. I agree.
It's just money.
But if you were happy yesterday, you're going to be a lot happier tomorrow, and I agree with that too.
It's just money.
Yep. Well, yeah, it's just
It's just money. It makes makes your miserable life or happy life.
I don't know if just and $1 billion go in the same sentence together, but
sure it does.
Here's one I like. Tell all your friends and relatives no. They will ask. Tell them no. If you are close to them, you already know who needs what help. Yeah. Feel free to find some, but talk to your accountant before you do anything. I like it.
Here's some advice from a non-billionaire.
Okay.
Hire a personal driver service that has their own insurance, because you'll have people that know you won the lotto and like bump into you with their car.
They won't know where to find me.
My back.
They won't know where to find me. I will not stay here.
You'll live on. Oh, speaking of, and I know you've said this on the podcast before, $200 million. That is nothing for you, Mr. Billionaire. The Playboy Bunny Mansion.
Is it for sale?
It's for sale.
And here I was.
There's a stipulation. Hugh has to stay.
He can stay.
Until he dies, of course.
He can stay.
Yeah.
He can stay. But here's my stipulation. Everybody else has to stay.
The bunnies can stay with him?
No, not with him.
Oh, well.
They can stay.
That's probably another
but anyway,
stipulation.
yes, $200 million. I can swing that now.
Well, not if your tax advisor doesn't let you do it.
Well, I can always
then
hire I can always hire another one. That's right.
This one, it says, don't take investments. You don't become a smart investor when you win the lottery. So,
and you don't need to invest.
Yeah, he said put it in the bank. You'll live comfortably forever.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely, you will.
But and then it says, don't take this as a suggestion from Mark Cuban that you should spend a lot of money on lottery tickets. The odds are 1 in 292.2 million.
And by the way, for any of our listeners out there that think the odds depend on how many people are buying tickets, it does
it's
not.
Not like horse betting where
it does not.
Yeah.
It is based on the number of possible combinations of those numbers being drawn. So it's 1 in 292.2 million. When it's that high, talking about the odds is ridiculous anyway.
Yeah.
But at least if you're going to talk about it, come from the right basis.
So you saw the guy, they were interviewing people.
You told me about him.
And so I'm telling everyone now, they come up to this guy and they ask him, what would you do? No, what are your, do you know what the odds are? And he said, yeah, slim to none, like a complete douchebag. And then she goes, okay, what would you do with the money if you won? Hookers and cocaine.
My hero.
It was so funny. He's just totally honest. You know, he looked the type, honestly. I'm sure there's memes or gifs all over the world of this guy now. That's pretty funny.
One other thing before we close out with the death of I'll call him a rock legend, and we'll go ahead and mention that in a second. But one other thing that happened in football over the weekend that I kind of have a new hero. Bud Grant, the 88-year-old former Hall of Fame head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, yesterday goes out, coin toss, 6 below, short sleeve shirt.
That's you in 40 years.
34 years. That's me in 34 years. Yes. So, Bud Grant, I love a short sleeve shirt in 6 below weather.
It was so cold there. What do they call it? Their yellow horn or whatever. It cracked in half.
Oh, and by the way, Bud Grant at 88 could kick Donald Trump's ass.
But yeah, it was very cold at that game.
Yeah.
I was surprised you didn't have us any meteorological stats.
It was the third. Well, it was okay. It was the third coldest game in NFL history. The coldest from a temperature standpoint was the Ice Bowl between Green Bay and Dallas back in the 60s. The second coldest from a temperature standpoint, but the coldest from a wind chill standpoint was San Diego at Cincinnati in the early 80s. It was called the Freezer Bowl, where the wind chill bottomed out at 59
San
below.
Diego at where?
At Cincinnati. And actually it was on January 10th. It was January 10th of like 82, 83, somewhere around in there. Minus 59 is where the wind chill bottomed out.
What?
Minus 59.
And they played the full
They had
game.
like a 30-mile-an-hour wind. Yeah.
It was okay. This last game,
Right.
Does it get a name? Like the Ice Bowl?
I don't know if it's been given a name.
I remember
yet.
last year they had
I'm gonna
Ice Bowl
say-
Squared or whatever, Ice Bowl 2 or whatever.
I'm going to say the Bud Grant in short sleeves.
Okay, it was so cold. Ticketmaster sent out emails to all their ticket holders saying, print out your tickets because your lithium battery won't work in this freezing cold weather.
Oh, you know something else? The stadium was full yesterday.
Well, I mean, it was a wild card playoff game. It's going to be full. But
Stadium
that still
was full.
is pretty
The
cool.
stadium was
That still is
full.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
they're Minnesotians.
Close enough.
They're used to
Yeah.
the cold weather.
I liked it.
So, David Bowie, he died yesterday
Yeah.
at 69 years old. Cancer. Well, this is something I did not know. He was in 24 movies.
Wow.
The only movie I knew he was in was one of my favorites as a kid, The Labyrinth. He played Jareth the Goblin King. Did you ever see it?
Didn't see it.
He had 26 albums.
Prolific.
Oh, definitely.
I think Major Tom is probably his biggest
That's
hit.
the one I picked.
Yeah.
All right, if you want to get a hold of us, you can go on our website at theboomerandxshow.com, theboomerandxshow.com. I've been told I say that a little fast. Boomer and X Show is our Twitter, at Boomer and X Show, and we try and post all kind of cool sports stuff on there. And what I've started doing is when we're doing research for, like, say, if we're doing a weather episode or whatever, I'll put the links that we're so you can kind of keep up before we even record with our research. So it's pretty cool. People liked that, so I've been doing that. And Facebook. We're on Facebook, The Boomer and X Show, and just go hit us up on there. We are pretty fast at responding to our emails, so if you have any topic ideas, we're about to run out of the sports we are going to be hitting a lot, because we're definitely be hitting, sports shorts, but not as often, not weekly like we have been. So we'll be needing topic ideas for whatever. If there's like a national Don't Wear Pants Day, we want to know about it so we can maybe make some sort of episode out of it. Anyways, thanks for joining us on this episode, John. I'm all out of words.
I was all out of words about 35 seconds ago.
All right, we're going to lead y'all out with Ground Control to Major Tom by the late, great rock legend, David Bowie. See you all in the next episode, y'all.
This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade. And the papers want to know whose shirts you wear. Now it's time to leave the capsule if you dare. This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way, and the stars look very different today.